Okay. Now consider how to use the extend function with the list. So extend function, it is the syntax of the extend function which takes list as the argument. Okay, so here we have declared two lists, list 1 with the elements and list 2 with the elements. So we are printing both the list 1 and list 2, that is T1 and T2 user defined names for the list. So how to call the extend function? So we have to call the extend function. It is a built-in function on the list object. See, in case of Python programming language, I have told list is a object. So on that object, using the dot operator, we have to call the extend function. Okay. So this extend function, it takes one argument. That argument is always the list object. So that is why here we have created the two list. So list 1, list object, on that using the dot operator we have invoked extend function, and list 2 is T2. We have passed this T2 as the argument to the extend function. So T1 is extended with the T2. So that is the modified list we want to print. So T1. So T1 is extended with the new elements of the T2, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See the output of the program. So here uh, so for the first print function, so we have printed all the elements which are there in the T1. For the second print function, so we have printed all the elements which are there in the T2 list. And third print function, which we have printed after the execution of the extend function. So here the list 1, T1 is extended with the T2 elements. So the new list is which contains 7 elements, the 3 elements from the list 1 and 5 elements from the list 2. So that is the use of extend function. See how to use the extend function on the list. So on the list, using the dot operator, we have to call the extend function by passing one more list as the argument. Okay, so this is the extend function. So this is one built-in function which is provided by the Python programming language to operate on the list. So we have gone through the length function, we have gone through the previous function, which is that previous function, append of function to append the new element to the list. Okay, now extend function. So now consider, so one more function which is provided by the Python to operate on the list, sort of function. So as the name indicates, sort of function, it is used to sort the all the elements, okay, in the ascending order from low to high means, so all the elements are sorted in the ascending order. So sort of function, it will not take any arguments, but we have to call the sort of function on the list object using the dot operator. Okay, so consider the example program for this one. So here, so we have written the example program to show that how to use the sort function. How to use the sort function on the character list, integer list, and how to use the sort function on the string list. Okay, so now, so I told sort of function is a built-in function. We have to call the sort of function on the list object using the dot operator. Okay, so first see the first statement, first instruction, T1 dot sort of. So sort on the T1 object we have called sort function. So all these elements are sorted in the ascending order, character elements according to their ASCII values. Okay. Similarly, second instruction we have invoked the sort function on the T2 object. So all the elements which are there in the T2 list will be sorted in the ascending order. So these are the integers. And on T3 object also we have invoked the sort function in order to sort the strings. Okay, so because T3 is a list of strings, so all the strings are sorted. In order to sort the string, the first character is considered. The ASCII value of the first character of the string will be considered. Okay, so here after sorting we have printed the sorted elements of T1, sorted elements of T1, sorted elements of T2, and sorted elements of T3. Okay, so see the output of this program using the sort function which can be invoked on the list objects. Sort function will not take any arguments, that we have to remember the syntax. Okay, so T1 elements after sorted, so these are like this according to their ASCII values. So ASCII value of B appears first, than the C, then we have T, then Y, Z. Similarly, so integer list is sorted. So 1, 3, 6, 8, 9 sorted in the ascending order, low to high. Similarly, so string list is sorted. So in order to sort the string list, So the sort function, it will consider the ASCII value of the first character, like that. Okay. So this is how we use the sort function on the list. It is a built-in function provided by the Python to perform the sort operation on the list elements. So now consider how to delete the elements, how we can delete the elements from the list. Okay. So there are many operators, there are many functions provided by the Python programming language in order to perform the delete operation on the list. Okay. So delete is nothing but removing the element from the list. So first pop-up function is provided. So pop function. Okay. So when we have to use the pop function in order to delete the elements from the list, if we know the index of the element, if we know the index of the element, then we can use the pop function. Okay. Say for example, I want to delete. Say for example here, how we can use the pop function. See here. So I know I want to delete the element at the second position. So I want to delete 8. So I know that the 8 is at the position 2. So that is why I have used pop function to delete the element at the second position. So for that, once again we have declared the list T1 with all the elements. T1 is initialized with these number of elements. So before deleting the function, before deleting the element, we have printed the original elements which are there in the T1. Then, so we have to call the pop function in order to delete the element. So how to call the pop function? So pop function, we have to call the pop function on the list object. So in Python programming language, list is an object. So here we have declared one list object T1. So using the dot operator, we have called the pop function by passing the index of the element as the argument. So the element at the second position that we want to delete. We want to delete the element at the second position. Okay. So this is the syntax for invoking the pop function. So using the dot operator on the T1 object, list object, we have to call the pop function by providing the argument as the parameter. That argument is always the index of the element that we want to delete from the list. Okay. So after deleting the element, so the element is removed. The element at the second position is removed. That is the element 8. So element at the 0 position, element at the position 1, element at the position number 2. So this element is removed from the T1 and that element is assigned to the variable called item. Okay, so the pop function, it returns a value. That also we have to remember. So pop function, it returns a value. So it returns some value. That value is the element which is deleted from the list. Okay, that deleted element will be assigned to the variable called item. Now we want to print the popped item. So the element which is deleted from the list, and after deletion, what are the elements which are there in the list T1. So here for the first print function, T1 before pop. T1 before pop. So all the elements which are there in the T1 list, and which element we have deleted, that element 8 which is there at the second position, position 2. That element we have deleted, that is assigned to the variable called item. Okay. And after deletion, we want to print the list. After deletion, we want to print the list. So this is 6319. So 8 is deleted. So which is the popped item? This is the popped item or popped element from the list. Okay. So this is the syntax that we have to remember. Remember that the pop function returns the deleted element. Okay, so that is why here we have used assignment statement in order to in order to store the deleted element in the variable called item. Okay, so now, so delete function, it is a first pop function. It is a first function to use to delete the element from the list. Now, in order to delete the element from the list, we can use delete operator also, del, only del operator. So in order to delete the element from the list, we can use del operator. So when we have to use del operator, so we don't need the removed element. So here, see the previous program. Here we are using the removed element. Popped element is, we have used the popped element. So popped element is assigned to the variable called item, and that we have printed. Okay. So when we have to use the delete, so